to go and meet a client who has started doing my 7-day anxiety desensitization therapy course. He sort of squeezed himself in whilst I'm going to be starting another 7-day client transformation on Monday, and I'm quite looking forward to having these essentially back to back and overlapping with each other. So yesterday, and this, in fact, I'll walk you through what like the structure is usually with the course, and then I'll kind of talk about what exactly the plan is for today and why I think it's really, really good and useful for you guys if you do ever consider going out to do approaching. And I'm also going to keep an eye on the weather as well, because I don't know if it's going to rain or not. According to the weather, it's meant to be thunderstorm, but then all I've seen here is sun, so we'll see. So my 7-day anxiety therapy course that I have is essentially to work on the foundations of cold approaching. So I kind of take out the headache of like guys wanting to try and get the results of, numbers and stuff. I don't worry about that. I worry about the little things first. So the giving the compliment, building up your social state, the kind of conversations that you have, how you're presenting yourself to women when you're speaking to them, and just the overall progress that would lead to you being more confident to asking for phone numbers and actually having dates. Because I've seen it a lot where, guys just aren't mentally prepared for a date because they don't know how to have a conversation. They might get a phone number in the moment, they get the euphoric high from it, but they don't know what to do for the date. But more importantly, they might go out and practice, but they then lose momentum and keeping the skill up. You wouldn't believe how many times I've known guys to go to a dating coach over the last 10-15 years. Excuse me, I got hiccups again. Who've gone to dating coaches over the last 10-15 years. They have a whirlwind experience, but they just don't know how to maintain that skill afterwards. They just learn how to be reliant on either a wing or a coach to give them that motivation and push to actually speak to people, but they lose the skill. They spend thousands of pounds and they lose the skill. It just becomes an absolute waste for them. And it breaks my heart when I see that then they start going to other coaches and they spend thousands of pounds more money, and it's just ridiculous. So I like to just work on the foundation, just get people comfortable with cold approaching and know and learn how to be able to maintain it themselves so they can go out on their own and just do it. So what I tend to do for at least the 7-day coaching is day number 1 is my filming and feedback. And I'll explain why it's really good, because it's something that has accelerated the skill with dating coaches with their results. Because when I film with them, when I'm filming their approaches or their content for their YouTube channels, and then they watch it back or maybe they edit it themselves, which, I always admire if a coach actually has that time to sit there and go through their own videos and edit it in a certain way. In fact, like Christian, great example. I always admire because he spends so many hours editing his videos, and it's a lot more hard work than I think guys think. But when you're watching your own in fields and you're seeing what you look like from a third person perspective, it really dramatically changes the way in how you cold approach women, because you are seeing your bad habits, you are seeing all the mannerisms that you've got, and as much as you've got someone else telling you, like me, what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, these are the changes you need to make. It's another thing when you see yourself and you're like, holy shit, I really do not like how I'm standing. I really don't like how I'm talking. I'm clearly not being flirty or creating sexual tension. And it makes a difference. And you actually make those changes faster and you implement them quicker, which is what I really like. So normally day number 1 and 2 is my filming and feedback. So like with the client that I worked with yesterday, and the client or the other guy who's going to be doing the 7-day coaching on Monday, he's going to be having the exact same experience on Monday and Tuesday as to what I did yesterday and what I'm doing today. So yesterday, I went out with a client. He will absolutely remain anonymous, but he's 61 years old. He's had some things happen in his life that made him go, you know what, I want to kind of live life to the full now, and I want to just basically just have a bit of fun and meet women. And I was like, fair play to you, sir, absolutely, I will help you with that. Now the last time he did approaching was, I think he said like 2016, which would have been like peak pickup period, and we went out and I filmed him. I kind of set some rules up of things that I'd like to expect. And I also say to guys, look, I don't care what kind of interactions you have, as long as you are doing it, you will have my support. If you have that anxiety, I will be there to help you all the way through. I just had a message from a chick. But I said, I will always be there to support you. You know, because at the end of the day, this first day doesn't really matter too much. It's what you're going to look like at the end of 7 days. So I gave him also which was a bit of a white lie. I said to him that the personal best of approaches that a client of mine has done in the space of 4 hours is about 25. It's actually about 42. And he did really well. I'm not going to give his number, just in case he is watching this, because I want it to be a surprise for him. I'd rather him hearing it directly from me, how his approaches went yesterday, what his ratio was, how many numbers he got in total, how many girls he sort of like changed his mind midway through to go and approach. But let's just say he did actually really, really well. And I think he did better than he thought he was going to do, which kind of leads on to other topics, which I'll save for other videos. But no, he did really, really well, especially for his first day. I also didn't really have to push him into any interactions, which was really good. You know, I've had guys who can like struggle with like holding eye contact or giving compliments. Again, the very foundational stuff. And he did it. You know, with his age and with his life skills, he was able to catch up with girls. He was able to certainly talk to girls who were about a third of his age, which he did get details from. So when guys say, oh, you know, an old man can't get numbers from like an 18, 19-year-old girl, you know, again, he's 61 and he got a uni student's number, and I'm sure she was probably about 20, 21, because she said she was studying psychology, and they just had a really, really very philosophical conversation and connected, and he asked her out and he got the details. So, you know, if there are guys that say, oh no, you know, you can't get somebody who's a fraction of your age, yes you can. I've seen it many times. But anyway, digression. So we filmed together yesterday for 4 hours. So we did 2 hours, then had a break, then did another 2 hours, because another thing that is very easy to forget is that it is a workout when you are walking around for miles and for hours. Okay, it's a workout mentally and physically, just how I'm feeling at the moment this morning, this afternoon. But it is a workout, so you do have to have regular breaks. So we had 2 hours, and then we had a break, then another 2 hours. And during that time, he did all his approaches, and then in the evening, when I got home, I compressed all the footage, edited it just slightly so the audio was a bit better, the lighting and stuff for him to be able to see. Now, unfortunately, no one on my YouTube channel is going to see his content because it is for private use only. That's one of the things that I feel I'm quite strict with, that, you know, this isn't content that's going to be used for marketing purposes. This is for you to see, to constantly watch on your own. It's then completely anonymous, and it means then you can really, really sit and discover what you were doing right and what you were doing wrong. As much as I know it's useful content for other people, you know, who am I to take away people's anonymity away if they want to learn in the privacy of their own home, watching their own content. So no, this content's not going to go anywhere, unfortunately, but it is going to be for his eyes, which means then I don't have to like mute and hide it personal information. He can watch it. Now, what I then did this morning was to then watch through his footage and write down a crazy amount of notes on what things he did well, and most importantly, what things he needs to actually work on and change. Now, when I am working with guys, I tend to look at three particular areas: body language, linguistics, and conversation skills or structure of content. Now, body language is obviously important because you don't want to be standing there looking like really weak and needy. Same with linguistics, you don't want to be sounding really weak and needy. It's about making sure that when you are there, you are making the best possible impression of yourself, just to increase the chances that the girl's going to like you. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get you a number or get you a date or anything, but it just means that you are going to make a much better first impression. We'll just cross here. Now, the conversation skills is kind of an obvious one. Are you actually able to have a fluent conversation with someone? Are you able to flirt with them? You know, have you got that banter, that playfulness? Because without certain elements of a conversation with women, it can be very boring, or it can just be way too friendly of a conversation. Which, I suppose, without not giving it too much away, that was one element of one of the things that I did find with my client, which I'm going to go over with him. And I'm hoping maybe at some point he will actually give me permission to interview him for my channel. And then you'd be able to actually hear from himself like what the experience was like. But you know, we'll keep my fingers crossed with that. I'm not gonna, I never hold my breath. I never sort of expect people to, you know, reveal a little bit of their identity, even if it is just their voice. So I'm gonna sit with him and I'm gonna go over those three areas. So again, the body language, linguistic, structure of content, and we're gonna watch through his approaches, or well, he's going to watch through his approaches. I've got my headphones or my earphones with me, so he's going to then put them on. He's going to then watch them, and I don't know how he's going to react to it. I always love actually waiting for them to see their content when I'm sitting with them, because I think it's just funnier. Well, for me maybe, but it is let me just cross here. There we go. Sorry, I'm still just sort of like plowing through because my train only comes like every half an hour. Yeah, I don't want him to already see what he's going to expect in the infield. I know that when I spoke to him yesterday about it, when I said like, are you looking forward to seeing your videos? And he was like, I'm really anxious about seeing what I look like on camera. And most people do. I think you kind of get to a certain point where you do get used to it. That's just going to be like any YouTuber or coach who kind of like, you know, the idea of it sort of like fades out once they're used to it. But I do like seeing new guys' reactions. So he's going to watch his videos, and then between every single one, because I've got timestamps written down, I've got all my notes written down in my journal, then yeah, we're gonna talk about each one. Talk about what he did well, what he didn't do well, some alternate ideas of things that he could have been saying in the conversations, or how he was standing, or how he was articulating himself, even covering things like energy and stuff. And we're going to go through it one by one. Now, this should probably take us about 3 hours, roughly, to go through, because I like to try and be as thorough as I can, and I don't really want to rush things. But yeah, that's then essentially day 1 and 2. So day number 1 is 4 hours of filming on the street, although it's probably more about 7 to 8 hours of us being together after we have breaks, and certainly have a bit of a debrief maybe before and after the session. I go home, I then, as I say, I watch through the infield footage, taking down all of the notes possible, and then and then the next day I sit with someone for 3 hours or so, we go through the footage, giving all the feedback. So then what happens is that then for the next 5 days after that, when I'm then doing just proper cold approach coaching, we have a crazy amount of things that we can work on, and I can work on those specifics and gradually increase the difficulty of the sessions as the week goes on. So hopefully then by the end of the week, or in this case with the client that I've worked with or will be working with again today for day 2, tomorrow's going to be his day 3, and then we're working again on Wednesday through to Saturday. And then my other client I'm going to be starting with on Monday, and then we're going to be working all the way through to Sunday. So Wednesday to Saturday is going to be very, very intense, as I'm going to have pretty much back-to-back coaching. But yeah, it should be really, really good. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I thoroughly enjoy sort of seeing the change work with guys anyway during the day. So I'm always a bit hesitant about having kids around if I'm talking about certain information. Although I know it's always clean anyway, but I digress there. So no, I'm really looking forward to next week. Next week is going to be quite intense. But Monday and Tuesday I'll be doing exactly what I've done yesterday and today. So another filming and feedback. And then after that it's just going to be full-on coaching, just walking around, approaching women, and just building up that momentum. So it might start off with just giving compliments, asking for directions, breathing exercises, practicing holding eye contact and smiling, because believe it or not, guys don't always smile when they go out. They don't always seem to have fun. They take cold approaching way too seriously, to the point that they think it's like a job. It's, maybe for a dating coach it's a job, but it's not a job for you guys. It's for you guys to actually have fun and enjoy it. And for me, what I love is just being able to relax guys into it, and constantly just keep adding those reminders of it's absolutely okay where you're at. When you feel your energy dip, just change your interactions, change who you're probably speaking to. Like, I know for one thing that I'll end up talking to my client about today is just about his energy. He's a very, very relaxed guy, which is really, really cool. I don't always necessarily or always see the kind of like vibe that this guy has got. And for an older gentleman, it's quite impressive. But there were moments, especially in certain roads or streets we were on, you might have been a bit too relaxed. And when there's girls in a rush, you kind of need to like up your energy to speak to them, and you need to get to the point of why you're there. So little things like that can make all the difference. And in fact, I'd probably say that there were a couple of opportunities he could have gone for yesterday where the girls were in a rush, but he just didn't kind of go like, look, I can see you've got to go. I've got to ask you, you're single, or you know what, I'd love to take you for a coffee sometime if you'd like to. Just even that, just to literally make the point or purpose why you're speaking to them put out there. But that was a tongue twister. Let it be known to them that you're attracted to them, and actually you're there speaking to them because you want to date. You'd be surprised how you could have like no interaction with a girl, and if you've got that right vibe from the start, she'd be like, sure. You know, she just senses that coolness in you, and she'll be like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So we're going to cover that sort of stuff with him. But this is why it's just so good for you guys. Like, if you're able to at least record your infield, it doesn't have to be a video. It can even be an audio as well. Right, I'm going to try and hold my phone. I'm always so cautious about like someone coming by in a bicycle and just trying to like nick my phone. So I'm gonna try and be wary and hold it so it's a bit straighter, so you haven't just got the bottom of my chin. What was I saying? So having videos is seriously, or audio is seriously good, because you can listen back to yourself. As someone who has worked in the dating industry for 16 years now, and I've filmed with easily over 80 plus coaches, and believe it or not, yes, there has been over at least 80 plus coaches, because there's also been many that have just come and gone because they've done some like boot camp or residential, then come to me going, Daniel, can you help me start a YouTube channel? I want to be a dating coach. And they've just not had the patience with working with people. But again, digression. But I have worked with enough people to know just how useful listening back to your interactions or viewing your interactions can be. Now, even if I just do like a minor plug here, even if you're not someone who wants to do a 7-day, just pull my sleeves up, a 7-day coaching with me, I do offer the filming and feedback service as a standalone. So why not see what your bad habits and mannerisms are, see how you're interacting with women, and get feedback on it. And I'd like to consider myself an expert in this. Get feedback on it. And you'll be amazed at just how quickly, if you start implementing the change work that I suggest, you will actually get better results. And I know because I've seen it almost 100% every single time. Whenever people take my advice on board, they always get better results. There's few things that I can toot my own horn on, and it is definitely one of them. So do it. You know, you don't need fancy equipment if you want to film yourself, or if you want me to film with all of the camera gear that I use when I'm filming dating coaches or filming my clients when I'm doing the filming and feedback sessions with them. But record your interactions, record your approaches, film them. And in fact, maybe what would be really cool, even just as an idea, and I don't know if guys will be watching this video get as far as this, and I can see, you know, I've got a nice number of people watching now. I would even love on my YouTube channel to be sitting and reviewing other people's in fields, and I can give genuine feedback in videos. I mean, I've kind of explained anyway how difficult I'm finding it, or the irony that because I film for all the dating coaches, I have no one to film for me. And I had my best friend Owen film for me, and bless him, it made him very anxious, and he just really struggled to film. So I'm still in dire need of someone to film for me. But just having that content really does make a difference. And if I can at least have you guys send me stuff, it doesn't have to be professional, by all means, you know, don't worry about with that. Or even if you're willing to maybe be a client transformation for me, where I can film you on the street and you're happy for me to have that as content, which I did do a video on my channel. By all means, do check it out. And I think I titled the thumbnail of something like, would you like free coaching worth like 500 quid, which is exactly how much the filming and feedback session is. But if you want that for free, by all means, do reach out to me, drop me an email, and I would love to be able to put that kind of content on my YouTube channel if you're brave enough to have your approaches shared. So if you don't want to be maybe filming it yourself or having a friend or a wing do it, then by all means, reach out to me. I would genuinely love to get that content, because everything that I'm doing isn't really just about dating. It is just about creating connections with people and having social interactions. Like with what I was chatting with my client yesterday, I believe cold approaching should be a rite of passage. I think every guy should be doing it. And on top of that, it doesn't have to be just for dating. It really does accelerate your social skills and your conversation skills to just being better to interacting with people. So whether you're looking to make friends, if you're not a very sociable guy, maybe you want to go networking, maybe you need extra help with business, maybe you're an introverted person who wants to learn how to be a bit more extroverted, there's nothing wrong with that. But the skill of being able to cold approach and just speak to people is just a normal skill that most people learn to develop normally in their lives because they're naturally sociable, or they're in more sociable situations than people who just aren't sociable, who just maybe stay indoors all day or just sit and play on the PlayStation, which absolutely, that was me. Growing up, that was me. I really had an addiction to sitting and playing on the PlayStation. But being able to put yourself out there is so important. Now, I don't want to, I can already sort of feel myself dangerously shifting off of topic, but this is what I will say. the best thing that you can do if you really want to get good at approaching and you're a bit unsure where to go next, maybe you feel like you've plateaued with your approaching and you don't know what you're doing right, you don't know what you're doing wrong particularly, then do please reach out. The best thing that you can do is just get feedback just to give you that right direction with going forward. And filming your approaches, or even getting the audio of your approaches or conversations, I should really say, will do you wonders. It really will do you wonders.
For the first time.
Yeah, squeeze through everyone here. So I'll end the video there. I really enjoyed talking about this because it is something I'm very passionate about. I love being able to film. I really love being able to give people advice. And I also really love just getting the fundamentals down of cold approaching and having guys being able to just go out and do it on their own. No reliance on anyone, and learning how to set the expectations as well, which is really what it comes down to. It's the expectations of, if I'm going to go out and approach, whatever mood I'm in, whatever the time is, whatever little time, big time, whatever I've got, how am I going to feel about the experience? And how am I dealing with that fear of the unknown? And that will certainly be topics for other videos, but for now, I'm kind of nearing my station. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, and have you ever had your infields filmed, or your conversations or interactions filmed, or recorded even? I would love to hear how you got on, and maybe what your experience was like when you were watching yourself or listening to yourself back. How did it make you feel? Did you also notice the things that you were doing right or wrong? And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. But other than that, obviously I've been Dan, that Danxiety guy, and I'm going to catch the train, meet up with my client, and yeah, we're going to have a fun afternoon watching through his infields and seeing how he reacts to him getting his feedback on his cold approaches too. So thank you very much for watching, guys.